We are live on Facebook. We are live here with Leadership Now. And before I introduce the man, the myth, and the legend, I just want to thank you all for showing up. And for those of you who are new to the Leadership Now community, the reason why we started this was to truly make a difference, to bring thought leaders, role models, mentors, teachers into this community and create hope and give us tips and tools. We have business owners, we have people who've been furloughed, we have retired, we have just individuals, people who just want to learn. And so we get excited to bring different people that we look at as role models and mentors and teachers to teach us. And we're excited to have Frank today.
There's no one like Frank Harrison. He truly is the man, the myth, and the legend. He's recently retired from the General Air Conditioning and Plumbing. He is a water ski champion. He is the president of Desert Cancer Foundation. He gives the best hugs. He constantly pushes himself to climb to new heights, even to this day. He gives back. He lives giver's gain. He constantly makes a difference. Oh, he's the dancing king. He celebrates life fully in his boho with his wife Charlene and their dogs, and spends as much time with his grandbabies as he can. Welcome, Frank Harrison.
Wow.
So how's that for an introduction?
That was awesome. Thank you so much. You know, that I love the dancing part of it, as you know.
So you are almost 77 years old.
Couple more weeks, I'll be 77.
Holy cow.
And,
so how do you stay so young?
Water skiing, being active, you know, keeping on the move. I've always been a workaholic, and I've always been I've got to be involved and do things. And I truly believe that God has given me a gift. He's kept me alive. You know, Marion, I've got some really good genes because my father lived to be 96, and he was a Major League Baseball scout till he was 90 years old for the Seattle Mariners, and still doing big league games back then. And he didn't go downhill. His mind stayed strong. He didn't go downhill until he retired, and he was so embarrassed because he had to use a cane. And I'd take him, I'd drive in once a month and take him to lunch, and he wanted to lean on me. He didn't want anybody to see him have the cane, things like that. But just staying active and staying around people. And you know something, I hang with a lot of younger people. I don't know anybody my age. I'm the oldest guy in town. I'm so blessed. And I say that because, you know, you get older, you might have a few aches and pains, but I am totally healthy. And I can do just about anything. You know, I ride my bike. I rode my bike 5 miles this morning.
You chose the topic when I said, what do you want to talk about? And you said, I want to talk about the power of giving back and making a difference. Why did you choose that topic?
Well, you know, Mary, I get so much back personally. Maybe it's selfish, but personally by helping other people, seeing people grow. Knowing the people, and you know, and all the years that I've known you, all the people that I have supported going to leadership classes, and whether they work for me or don't work for me anymore, I've improved their lives. And I can't tell you how many emails I get from young people thanking me for different things I've done in their life. And it's all I've done is open the door. They have to do it themselves. I can't do it. I just give them the opportunity. You know, just being around people. I mean, I still go into the office and I pump people up. I love that. Probably about 400 people come through our company one time. And I had one of the larger companies in the United States stop and say, I've never been in an organization where you can feel it when you come to. You can feel the culture. You can feel how people are, because people love coming to work. People like the environment. It doesn't mean every day was perfect, but you know something? We embrace each other, we understood each other. And to me, that's what life's about. And I'm just believing and investing in my team as what's made me successful. But I just saw Rusty pop up on there with an email. And I just want to say, you know, he's a person I'm so proud of. And I feel like I've been able to touch he and Steph in their lives. And, you know, he said, mentor, I just say our friendship is so powerful. And he was too busy to go to leadership the first time. So I sent his wife. And guess what? He went next. He came back. And I did a lot of soul searching. I said, you know something? The worst I can do is fall on my face. So I went out and refinanced my house. At that time, my house was worth $50,000 back in the 70s. And I got $15,000 out of it. And I went and got my contractor's license. But I couldn't afford a truck and a car. So I got rid of my car and got a work truck. Now, I was single back then. So it was funny. I loved to go dancing. So I'd go out dancing. If I met a cute girl, I'd have to go borrow somebody's car to take them out on a date because they weren't going to go in my work truck.
You're going to your work truck, right?
Changes, but I go back and my beliefs and everything. I have some real success stories that I think that, and I'll start with a young man that I hired out of high school, 17 years old, sweeping floors back at General Air Conditioning, and he was a hard worker. He was a quick learner, and unfortunately he screwed up. And I had to fire him. But I saw quality in him. I didn't want to let it go up. So I made a deal with him. I said, you're fired. In 1 year from now, if you want to come back here, you're welcome to come back and I'll give you a second chance. Mm-hmm. Well, he came back and I watched him kind of like a son. He was working at a tire place and I'd drive by to make sure he was at work there. And so anyhow, he came back and he worked his way up from install to maintenance to service technician to comfort advisor, and now he owns one half of General Air Conditioning.
Wow!
And I'm very proud of him. He's just an amazing young man. So, yeah. So that's one of my I feel success stories. But I'll share another little story too. I have another fellow that I'm so proud of that. Worked for me, and it was a young installer, and he got caught on drugs, and he failed a drug test a couple of times, and I had to let him go. But there was something in that man that I saw, and so he would come back, and he went to rehab, and he came back just to keep me posted. He'd sit with me, say, I'm not asking for a job, Frank. I'm not ready because I'm not going to fail you again. And he turned around, and it took like 2.5 years. And he kept reporting in to me. And then he said when he was ready. Well, he turned out, he married his wife in rehab. She's a school teacher, the most fantastic young lady. They have 2 children. They just had their second child now. And he doesn't work for General anymore, but he and I stay in contact. And I'm so proud of him because he turned his life around. And he been to bowl, he's master grad, he's done everything, and I just feel like that's been such a big part of it. And to me, that's the success of life. I do my best to attempt to understand the good side and the bad side of people, because I think that I've always surrounded myself in business with people that were smarter than me, I felt, in different fields. I'm the people person, I'm the mediator, I can bring people together. But I know this person's got this talent, this person's got that talent, and that's what makes a successful company. That's what makes life successful. You can't know everything and do everything yourself. It doesn't work that way.
And I just want to acknowledge you, Frank, just for how you show up, because it's difficult for people. It's difficult for people to be that, because in this world, and I posted, it's the Thomas Rhett song, in a world full of hate, be a light. Oh my gosh, I get emotional. Because so many times we see in black and white and we miss the color. And Frank, you bring color to this life. And I just want to thank you for that.
No, thank you. Barbara and I went out and we interviewed different cancer foundations, and we found the one that really hit home, Desert Cancer Foundation in the Coachella Valley. It's a small organization, and it helps the less fortunate, the people that don't have much income. But the neatest thing about it is all the money raised in the Coachella Valley stays in the Coachella Valley. And the other neat thing is that for every dollar we spend at Eisenhower or Desert Regional Hospital, we get $10 worth of oncology. That's what the doctors in the hospital do for us. So, and as I tell people, yeah, we have a pandemic going, but guess what? Cancer doesn't stop no matter what. People die every day. I mean, there's a young lady that was a guard at one of the country clubs making $10 an hour, didn't have any insurance. She applied. She had breast cancer. We were able to take care of her. Those are the satisfying things that really fulfill me now, is helping others and being there to know that you're helping people, and it's really important.
You know, you talked about water skiing and the Cancer Foundation. What else helps you just stay alive?
Well, my grandbaby, and I have to share, I mean, I know you've seen pictures of him and everything, but he's 10 months old, and he is the best little grandbaby. And I know everybody says their baby's the best, but I'll share something that, I've never had children of my own. I've been a stepfather, or rent-a-pop, as I call myself. I've got two beautiful daughters that I raised one from 5 years old, and then I have two stepsons in this marriage. Yes. And so I've never really actually been around a baby being born or anything. And I waited 76 years to have a first, and it was very emotional for me because we took Janelle to the hospital. Her mother couldn't be there. Skip was at work, and we took her to the hospital, and she says she's ready, and they live over in the track next door to us here. And so we took her in, and she ended up not having the baby that day. That next morning we came back, and she stayed in the hospital, and she allowed me to stay in the room when that baby was born. And that is the most beautiful sight. To see what she was carrying for 9 months and see it come down the ramp and watch Skip cut the cord. I sat there and bawled. I did, because it's a first. It took me 76 years to see something like that. And I'm sure there's people listening and no big deal, or that's ugly or whatever, but I'll never forget that. And that little boy means so much to me. I get him on FaceTime, and he starts waving at me on FaceTime. I talked to him yesterday, and he's waving at me, and he's laughing on it, and it's beautiful. And if I do get bored, if Rusty's listening to this, I want him to know I'll come and apply as a general manager. He said he'd have an opening for me. I just want to make sure that he pays for my gas back and forth.
That's hilarious.
And I also am on the selection committee for the Hall of Fame. And a couple of years ago, I was in 2015, I was inducted in the Hall of Fame for water skiing.
So Frank is very humble. He is inducted into the Hall of Fame.
But I was inducted in for what I feel, what we're talking about, helping others. I was inducted. It was not because I'm a good skier. There's elite skiers out there that are amazing. I got to coach them. I got to manage them. I was chairman of the board. I was treasurer. I've given back to my sport because I love my sport so much, and I still give back. And so to see these kids that were on my teams, that now they're in their 30s and they're retired, and when they're nominated for the Hall of Fame, and it's just so rewarding to go up and give them a big hug and say, "You earned this. You worked for this," and that's another part in my sport life. I get to do that. But the most rewarding part was when we had our march, when the opening of the game, just like the Olympics. We're marching down this little village in Rocchetto, Italy, which is in the Italian Alps, and people are hanging out their window cheering for the USA, just cheering. And there we had our USA jackets on, everything, and we got a little girl with a flag in front, walking the Stados Unidos in front of you, and we got out on the soccer field, and before they started all the ceremonies, a little girl walked the whole length of that and handed our team a bouquet of roses and saying, "We love you, USA, and we're so glad you're here." And to me, that, there again, that's something I shared at my Hall of Fame induction, because that's my biggest memory right there of my water skiing.
Wow. And you are and I'm going to brag on you a little bit because you won't do it. It was last year, you won the regionals. You set a world record for the regionals for your age group at 75 years old, almost 76. And then you won the national championship. So, Frank, when I look and I just listen to your whole story, 62, you take a leadership class, right? You're 62. it's never too late to be who you want to be. And just listening to you, it's like this different season in life. So for people who are struggling and people who feel stuck, what would your message be for them?
Oh, I believe first thing, get yourself out of the closet, get an open mind, look at the positive side. I've always been one that looks, no matter how bad it is, I look for that positive side there is, even if it's just a little bit, you can take that and grow the positive side. And if you want to sit around and feel sorry for yourself, you're not going to go anywhere. You have to step out there and make it happen and surround yourself with positive people. Do I have any regrets? Yes. I lost a marriage because I was a workaholic. My business was more important than my married life. I worked 7 days a week. I wanted to be a success back many years ago when I was younger. I had the fear of failure. Now, obviously, I don't have that fear anymore, but back then I wasn't, I hadn't been enlightened through all these programs and all the things I've learned in life and everything. But I came home, we attempted to work it out, but my business was like, and people say, well, did you have an affair? No, I didn't have an affair. My affair was with my business, and I lived for my business. And if I knew what I knew now, I'd still be married there. But that's hindsight, but that's a lesson learned, and that's some of the things that I tell people. You got to balance a little bit. Come on, Rusty.
Hey, it's father and son.
There we are.
There he is. All right.
Got my son there. It was a great.
Yeah. You're doing good, and I understand it. I got a wonderful email from your newest employee, from out here, thanking me for exactly what we're talking about here. The fact that he got to go to leadership classes and that it has made an effect on his life, and I emailed him back and told him you couldn't go to a better place other than he's on the other side of the mountain.
The nice part about this is and you got to pay for all the classes for him to to come to us. You can definitely tell the way he was, just his demeanor and the training that he had. He's just a step above most out there.
Rusty, it's interesting because there's another competitor out there, and I've stayed friends as much as some people don't think it's right. I've stayed friends with a number of companies out there. I've helped a number of companies, and I have a lot of employees that don't work for General anymore over there, and they call me or whatever. And I talk to them, and the compliments I've gotten from two different owners, just as you said. I don't know what you did, these folks, but they're different than anybody we've ever had working for us. That is so satisfying, that because you and I, and certainly you've done tons of it too, we affect people's lives in a very special way.
Well, that's truly giver's gain.
Yep.
Yeah, and for sure, the way that, I've known Mary also for many years, and, Frank, you sent us, like you were mentioning earlier in the presentation, and just what it's done for us, and, it's a great feeling. And how open you were to me to come into your company and just give us everything you got, whatever it was, anything. Here's my price book. Here's my job descriptions, everything. It was, who I used to work for was, the opposite of you, and you guys were competition, growing up. And then to meet you, it was just a completely different personality. He taught me a lot too. I highly respect him as well, but everything was a secret, and then come to you and you're like, hey, everything's open. What do you want?
But too, that makes our industry a better industry. And obviously there's a lot of people out there sharing now, with the Einsteins and all this stuff on Facebook, but people are sharing and helping young people. I never had that when I started my business. I made my mistakes because there was nobody to tell me how to do it. I couldn't even read a financial statement when I started, and in the end, that's all I lived by was financial statements. But you know, it's a great industry, and it certainly is. I miss being part of it. So like I said, when you have an opening, I'll be over there. And then,
You know, I mean, we still got that Walmart greeter position that we're looking for.
that's probably where I'll fit in.
You truly are an inspiration.
Thank you. You're a very special person, just like Mary and you and Steph. That, you know, we have done so many things together, Mary, as you know, and they are our mom and dad, because Stephanie and Rusty, because they keep Charlene and I in line, so we're their kids when we go places.
That's right.
Absolutely. Traveled the world together.
Mhm. Did you have any questions for Frank, Rusty, or did you just want to make that comment?
I was just making the comment. I mean, what an inspiration. I mean, what a great person in our industry, a great person to know, to hang out with. I mean, all the things that we've done through the years. I mean, really everybody thought we were the father and son sitting in the front row together. So ended up being me being the father, but
Keeping Frank in line.
keep Frank in line. I mean, you know, the bar's closing at the end of the night. It's like, okay, come on, son, I gotta get you to bed.
Yeah. I love it.
So, but I mean, it's been a wonderful.
Yeah.
It has very special relationship and a wonderful one.
This is really cool. I just want to say, I know people who are watching this are like, what are they doing? So we all go back, and with Rusty and Frank, and we owe Driven owes so much for the two of you, especially with Bold, because you guys challenged us and said, when are you going to start Bold? When are you going to do something? And you put people in our first class. And when we said, all right, we're going to do Bold, and you guys were our sidekicks. And
Yep.
Just the support. You talk about givers gain and the power of just giving back, but it's also the support and encouraging people and sometimes pushing them to step into being their best self. And that's what both of you do. Like that's who both of you are.
Yep.
For sure.
Now,
Thank you.
it's it's a great environment that we. Yeah.
Yeah.
One of the great stories for
That's all
Frank,
good.
if I can, you know, we're at the, Frank and I are on the sidekick, and he has to go open the door to let the class in for the first time. And, you know,
that's right.
okay, you know, walk out there, open the door for the people, and, you know, just kind of be stern. Last person in, close the door. And he comes out, hey, everybody, come on in. Holds the door for him, lets them all come in, waiting for the last person. He's the last guy in. It's just who he is. And, you know, Eric's in there just like, we just let him do whatever he wants.
It doesn't matter. It's just Frank. It's just Frank.
Oh, yeah. It was just like, but,
Well, thanks, Rusty.
all right. Thank you.
I'm a kid at heart.
You are. Love you guys.
I love you.
Rusty, thank you so much. You know, dear friend.
And Frank, I just want to say thank you for this time. Like, there's so many stories. There's so many more things that we could have dove into, but I know this is the perfect time and perfect what it needed to be. And when I say that you truly are the man, the myth, the legend, when I think of a champion, it's Frank Harrison. And I know that Eric and I owe so much to you. You impact lives in ways that, I mean, I know you know somewhat of what you do, but one day you're going to see fully the impact that you make. And I just want to continue to spread my wings and be like you, because you, the way you live your life, you inspire people to play big and to never settle and to never give up.
Well, thank you, Mary. You guys are you're wonderful. I'm so proud of what you're doing here, and the folks you've shared have been so enlightening for me to listen to them, because you learn from everybody.
And again, thank you, Frank.
Thank you, Mary. I love you.
I love you too.